What's up, everyone? Welcome to Carried Away, the weekly podcast where we nerd out about all things EDC gear and maybe try to teach you a thing or two while we're at it. I'm Bernard, the founder of EverydayCarry.com, and I'm joined by our editor, Mikey.
Hey, what's up?
So we're going to do things a little bit differently today. We're going to skip the Q&A that's going to be at the end, and we're going to skip the pocket check. Why? Because we're talking about EDC knives, and not just any EDC knives, but the best, quote-unquote, EDC knives. So Mikey and I have been working on this gigantic list of knives to recommend for the past few months, and we landed on 25 of them. So we thought it would be fun to do little tier list making. And yeah, like I said, we're saving the Q&A for the end, so stick around for that as well. This list is biased towards the United States because as an American, I'm conditioned to believe that we're the center of the universe, and mainly most of you are tuning in from the States. But if you're from somewhere else, that's dope. Thank you. But sorry, because some of these are not going to be legal for you to carry where you are. With that said, this list tries to balance price tiers, have good brand representation, country of origin, blade steels, deployment, lock mechanisms, all of that. It's pretty well rounded. I think it'll be pretty interesting for you guys. The picks are based on a combination of our own personal experience using the knives, and then also just like the general consensus of the community around these knives. So those people stand by them as well. Anyway, it's enough yapping. We're going to rank these now in a totally subjective way. Either way, like anything on this list is like part of our best knives, right? So you can't really go wrong.
So, like, even if we put something in B tier, that's still B tier of the best knives out there. So it's still kind of better than most. So if your knife isn't in S tier, don't get mad at us. It's just an opinion, bro.
I mean, that's how it's going to start out. Who knows if it's going to end up that way? This tier list might be a journey. So let me open up this list.
It was a journey just to come up with it, right? Because
yeah,
and we also probably should say that we left out the super custom stuff that are really expensive and like Instagram artisanal free range really expensive custom knives. So these are mostly mainstream, mostly production knives that you can easily get, and we wanted to make
mostly easily get.
If it's within budget or if it's within stock, we tried to make it as accessible as possible across like all of the price tiers. So
this first one, this is the Quiet Carry Drift in Vanax Super Clean, I believe. You picked this one.
I did pick this one, and I picked this one specifically for the steel. It's a combination. Vanax Super Clean is about equivalent to LC200N as far as rust resistance, and by equivalent to LC200N, you're getting the absolute best rust resistance. It's almost, I want to say it's practically impervious to rust. So if you're working around or near water, or you're a fisherman, or you like to go, you're in an area where you would get your knife wet, Vanax Super Clean and LC200N are the knives for you. And added bonus for the Quiet Carry Drift, it's titanium handles. It has a nice clean design. So I think it's pretty good.
All right, everyone's going to ask, how much does it cost? $300, bro. And it's just shy of 3 inches long. Thumb stud deployment, frame lock, 2.6 ounces, made in Taiwan. Where are we going to put this?
Well, I want to put it in A tier, but maybe we should put it in B just to be safe for now.
Okay. What a loser. Let's start right in the middle, B tier. All right.
We should have a baseline. We'll be moving stuff up and down.
Sure. Yeah. This is kind of like a high bar just because it's already $300. Not all of the knives are going to be that way. Next, we have the CIVIVI Elementum 2 button lock.
Classic.
Yeah. This is a pretty new knife compared to the rest of the
modern classic. It's like, since it came out in, 2019, 2018, it won Knife of the Year a couple of times. It's very affordable, has a ton of variations to it. Let me
run down the specs real quick. Sure. So you said it's affordable. $77 for this configuration. Nitro V steel, 2.96 inch blade with a rear flipper deployment, a button lock, 3.1 ounces, made in China.
It's very meta, button lock.
Yeah.
One of the earliest appearances and one of the ones that really made it popular too, the Elementum. What do you
I'm
think?
thinking A tier.
I think A
I'm
tier
thinking
just on
this
the
this
basis
is
of
pretty
value.
solid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I like rear flipper plus button. That's like fidgety and easy to use.
Mm,
So I think if you're just recommending this to people, it's hard to go
very
wrong
easy
with this.
recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And button lock
All,
also isn't harmful, quote unquote, isn't that bad to lefties because you just use your index finger instead of your thumb to close it. So it's not perfectly ambidextrous, but it's usable. I have a bunch of like right-handed button locks that are perfectly usable for me. So I think it's a good A tier. I agree.
okay.
Good value.
Yeah, good value. All right, next one. Never heard of this knife before. The
What's
Chris
that?
Reeve Sebenza. What is that? So
Oh.
let's just run through the specs real quick because this is kind of a niche knife. Nobody's ever heard of this. This is $425 in this
Oh.
configuration. Well, it's the CPM Magnacut version,
Mm.
one of the more recent ones, right? 2.99-inch blade length, so hair under 3 inches. Thumb stud deployments, titanium frame lock, 3 ounces, made in USA. So when made in USA, titanium,
We're,
CPM Magnacut, $425.
we're kidding around. This knife is pretty much legendary at this point. It's
Mythical, one might
myth-
say.
That's a good way of putting it.
Because I feel like I've never seen. No, I used to have one of these a long time ago before the hype. No, that's not even true. It was hyped, but it was at least you could buy it. So
And it's so popular that the waiting list for one is 4 years from officially
4
from
years.
Yes.
Damn, bro. All right, this is D tier right here for damn, bro. That's a long time tier. All right, next one. We got something similar. This is the Tactile Maverick.
Younger.
And this made the list because kind of similar to the Sebenza in the sense that it is also CPM Magnacut, right? And made in USA. So those are some similarities.
I want to say that there's some residual splash damage because of how good the tactile pens are that we automatically assume with it being such a new knife that it's automatically great. But you have one in hand. Do you think
I know
it is all
I
that?
forgot to like hold up the knives. So here's one. Here's the Tactile Maverick. I'm holding.
Is it all that? Is the question.
Okay. Quick story. When I first unboxed it, I tried to flick it open. It didn't fly open, and it was kind of just slow. And it's pretty like round, not round, but like curvaceous. And I don't know. It's kind of like it reminds me of an oval. Just like its vibe is just an oval. I don't know why, but it has this kind of like quiet elegance to it that doesn't need to boast. I don't know. It's strange. It is good though. It is very it's very good. In the hand, it's like a little bit slim, and I'm not really used to that. But I think that's where it gets its like level of refinement and sophistication.
And I think it automatically disqualified from D tier because it's actually available. You can get one.
I just bought it.
There are a couple of variations to it. I believe there's a cheaper non-titanium handle. Yeah, there you go.
It's micarta. It's like brown micarta.
So it is available. Even if it doesn't, Tactile routinely makes new stock. I would put it in A tier just for the fact that it's aspirational, it's high end, it's the fact that they even offered like a more affordable option is also plus points in my book. I would say A tier.
Okay, it is $350, and it is a little bit on the longer side. So some of you might think at 3.5 inches blade length. Some of you might think, oh, you're getting more knife for your money then. So, sure, A tier.
Is that $1 per?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, next one. So this I used to think a while ago was like the best knife to recommend to people, and that this is the SOG Terminus XR Lightweight LTE. 4 years old now. Because I saw this SHOT Show 2020.
I want to classify it in the used to be awesome, but kind of a hard sell now, but still great. So maybe that puts it in.
Okay, still great. Okay, yeah. So let's run through some specs real quick about what makes it still great. $105 MSRP. I have a feeling you can get this for much cheaper than that. So think about that. But CPM S35 VN, 3-inch blade, rear flipper and thumb stud, crossbar lock. So this is like SOG's XR thing. They were one of the first, other than Benchmade, to do the crossbar,
Mhm.
or like after Benchmade rather, to
Right.
start making the crossbar knives. And then it's very lightweight, 2.2 ounces, and it is imported.
What's
But
the handle on that version?
oh, it's carbon fiber,
Ooh.
and it does have like a liner. It's skeletonized and stuff.
You
But
know,
yeah,
S35 plus carbon fiber for under 100 if you can find it on sale sounds like a pretty good value to me. And it's also lightweight, under 3 inches, really good for EDC. I
yeah,
would put it solid B, really.
solid B. Yeah,
Solid
it's
B.
like you can get SOG many places. So like finding
Mm.
this and trying it out is probably not going to be an issue. I will say like probably just need to make sure you get a good copy, because I've had two, and then one of them like there's a little bit of stick in the lock.
Ooh,
The other
okay.
one flies open, perfect
Mhm.
action. SOG has been kind of going through some changes as a company. When I
Mhm.
first got hands on this like 3 years ago, this was like a promising future for SOG, and then now like big leadership changes, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
kind of besides the point.
Yeah, I think solid B tier. Just for the combination of materials and the price point where it's at. I think it's pretty solid. I would still recommend it if you like that
Okay,
very thin drop point style. Yeah, I think I like it.
true. Yeah, the blade shape is like pretty good for EDC too. Speaking of old knives, so the CRKT Squid,
Hmm.
remember that guy? Hugely popular at the time.
I mean, we're making fun of it, but I have more than a few, not about a handful of friends who, without even consulting with me first, ended up with it as their first knife, just from the sheer fact that it looks kind of harmless, it's extremely affordable, it's very widely available, and
Right.
I mean, at that price point, there's really not much to complain about. It's not something that it's not, you wouldn't consider it like an heirloom piece or like a purely premium
Yeah.
piece,
It's a
but
user. For
it's a
context,
user.
$32.
Yeah.
$32
There we go.
is the last I checked.
Mhm,
That's already a good deal, like in 2023, I feel, for a knife
mhm.
like this. But it has 8CR 13 MOV steel, so like
Yeah.
not like a crazy steel or anything. Blade is a little bit shorter, stout side, 2.16 inches. Thumb stud deployment. I think
Like
it's a steel frame lock,
you were
three and a half
describing the
ounces.
you were describing the Maverick as round. This is I like to describe this knife as kind of friendly as far as knives go.
Uh,
It's very harmless looking. It's like short and stubby and kind of cute, and you wouldn't be afraid to use it anyway. It's
yeah.
still a user, but it looks, as far as like, if you would compare it to right beside like a tactical knife or something, it looks, I would describe it as something that looks pretty friendly. Maybe a C
It is
for
kind
me.
of a chonker. Yeah,
C for
okay.
chonker. There you go. You just
Sure,
solved it.
sure.
C for
We
chonker.
could chonker tier. Let's go.
There we go.
Um, we good on that? Okay.
Mm,
I think that's fine. There are also a bajillion different like flavors of the squid now.
mm.
You got the teriyaki. No, there's like different like materials and steels maybe. I don't know, but I remember like recently on the Amazon listing, the squid is like comes in all shapes and sizes now.
Mm.
Um, yeah. I think we picked the squid over the Pilar just because it's more iconic, like more classic
Yeah,
and cheaper. Yeah.
and
But
I would still
two
recommend
similar
it
little
today.
big knives.
Also,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, sure.
yeah.
$32, can't go wrong. Next we got the Kansept Fenrir.
Mm.
I think you picked this.
I did pick it
Yeah.
for two very strong reasons. It was an early appearance of fat carbon in knife handles,
Yeah, so
which
here's
is,
some fat carbon. I'm holding it up.
yeah,
What does that look like? Describe that.
it's a variation of carbon fiber where it's not like a grid pattern like you're used to for carbon fiber. It's
Like
more of
a
like,
woven, yeah.
yeah, so it's more of a abstract painting. Like if you would just dump a bunch of paint together and start mixing it around, that's what it kind of looks like.
Kind of
But it
reminds me of
has,
like an oil slick, like that
mm,
kind of bubbling. It also kind of looks like Damascus, just like that swirling, those
yeah.
waves. Yeah.
And then you still get the benefit of lightweight and rigidness for carbon fiber. And the second reason why I picked this one is it's one of the very few production knives out that still makes it an actual lefty, because it's a frame lock. So it's a
Oh, true. Okay.
production lefty friendly frame lock and fat
Some bias
carbon.
there from Mikey.
Yeah, yeah, some
Yeah.
bias.
This has
I
a
gotta have
front
some
flipper.
representation there. Yeah.
Yeah. So quick stats for people, because this kind of Kansept Fenrir, probably not the most popular Kansept knife, but it's
Mm,
$178, CPM S35 VN. 3.48-inch blade length. You can do thumb stud deployment or front flipper. It's got a frame lock, and then like Mikey said, it comes in a left-handed frame lock. 4.37 ounces, so not the lightest. And this is also made in China.
I even as much as it's my pick, I probably would put it at C for fat carbon.
Okay.
Not that it's bad. It's just not. It's not gonna wow a lot of people compared to stuff that's already higher the list, or it wouldn't be an easier recommendation because of the price or like the style of it, because it's a larger and heavier knife. Yeah.
C is fair to me, but I can't argue that like, you know, the materials are not good or whatever. It's just this blade shape is also like this kind of like a harpoon kind of style. It's like blacked out. It's big to me. It's a little bit heavy. So this is just not my cup of tea. I posted this on TikTok. A lot of people thought it was sick, and so clearly I'm wrong. Usually I'm the one with bad taste. So that checks out. Let's go with C tier for carbon. Then next we got the Ontario Knife Company Rat II in D2. Quick specs on this, $40. Okay. D2 steel, 3-inch blade, thumb stud deployment, liner lock, 4-way pocket clip, 2.8 ounces, and made in Taiwan.
S tier, easy.
This is the classic. And like with the fate of Ontario, you know, like they're closing factories, like these are getting harder to find. You know, I think I'm a nostalgic person. I would probably, you know, want to come back to this D2 steel, whatever, just take care of it. Yeah. Like if you have like a classic iconic knife like this, the Rat 2 in D2, it's okay, to be fair, it's a little bit smaller than the Rat 1, but we're trying to get things that are more compact and probably more legal for more people to carry. So the Rat 2 made it, but still overall design iconic.
We're kind of joking around, but this thing has been around forever. Like even way before I started EDC, this has been around. This has been a really easy recommendation very early on. It's totally harmless, great drop point shape, very affordable. D2 is a working steel, and this was in the EDC of like dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of people when Bernard and I were both starting. So it's a classic. It's going to remain a classic, and we're kind of joking around with the S tier, but I think it does deserve that slot, especially for this price. That's my take on why I would put it in S tier.
Why would I put it in S tier? I think because people would get mad at me if I didn't. So that's why I'm doing it. People always, dude, like every time I like try to make a budget knives recommendation or something, people are like, "What about the Rat 2 or Rat 1 or whatever?" There it is, bro. Enjoy.
It is. People are going to see the end. If people jump to the end of this video and they see the Sebenza in D tier and the Rat in S tier, oh, we're going to hear it anyway. Yeah.
Well,
you should have watched the video.
They got to watch the full video. All right. Yeah. Speaking of D tier, we got the Hogue Deka in Magnacut.
God.
I don't know. Deka, curious, right? So let's go over some of these stats real quick. $149. Okay, what are you getting for that money? You're getting CPM Magnacut, 3.25-inch blade, dual thumb stud deployment, the crossbar lock, reversible tip-up pocket clip, 2.1 ounces, so it's pretty lightweight, and then the kicker made in USA.
I'm gonna put this in A tier for myself. This is an A tier. It made Magnacut accessible. It came in a bunch of exclusives, which were sick, which were the Ultim ones. It comes in different blade shapes without adding on the cost. It routinely went on sale. It's ambidextrous with a crossbar lock. It's lightweight and it's a great size. So I can't find any fault with all of that. It's all like greater than the sum of its parts and the sum of its features. Sure. I would put it in A tier for myself.
I mean, okay, so I'm holding it up. I've had a couple of these already. I think it's just like a stylistic preference for me that I don't really like this. You know,
what if you had it in Ultim though?
No, I'm not even a fan of Ultim, but like this is like well designed and well made, good materials, accessible, not accessible, available rather. So people can get this, and it's gonna be like you could be done with knives if you get this, I think, for a while. I don't know. It's just something, this is stupid, but it's just like emotionally doesn't really connect with me.
I get that. I get
So
that.
yeah.
I give it props just for the fact that it made Magnacut as popular as it was and as premium as it was
True.
when it started appearing on the Sebenzas. The fact that
That's
it
a
made it
good
accessible at
That's a good
$150,
point.
that's yeah.
I think the hype around the Deka is just like you can get Magnacut for $150
And
in
then
a
have it not
platform that's
suck.
like real. Yeah,
Yeah.
in a platform that's good. Like there's no real compromise here, except
Mm,
for in this configuration, these are like the plastic scales.
mhm.
So they might feel flimsy, but this is the same thing with what's it called? Like the bug
The
out.
bug out, yeah.
Yeah, the original bug out. But okay, fine. We'll move this. You said A tier, right?
Yeah. A minus 8 here, I think, would be fair for it.
Okay, sure. Next, we got the Victorinox Swiss Army Knife Pioneer X in Alox.
Mm. Not aluminum oxide as everybody thinks it is. It's anodized. It's aluminum with anodic oxidization. It's a treatment
Oh,
on aluminum scales. So it's not aluminum oxide. I've been
all
corrected
right.
so many times. I'm going to
Okay,
correct everybody
nerd.
now.
Yeah, sure. All right.
But
Victorinox Pioneer X, $62, stainless. I don't know what the steel that Victorinox uses.
it's one,
Just
yeah,
call it stainless.
stainless steel, yeah.
Yeah.
S for
Two.
scissors, I think.
You think?
S for
Okay, that's true. None of
S
these
for
have scissors.
Mm.
In fact, yeah, none of those have scissors. So that one's going to be classic. And just for more context, you guys probably know what the Swiss Army knife is, but it's a nail nick deployment. It's a slip joint, so it doesn't lock. That's also more S tier in the sense that more people can carry this around the world, right? No pocket clip though, but that's fine because it has a lanyard attachment, or not lanyard attachment, like a split ring, so you can put on your keychain too. Can't put the rest of the knives on your keychain, right?
Mm-hmm.
3.3 ounces and Swiss made.
There's also a fun collectability to it because Victorinox, if not the Cadet, they also do it with a Pioneer. I think as of last year, they started making the yearly limited editions of it, which is not really limited in the sense that they're easily attainable. But originally, the Cadet was the king of Victorinox, the very lightweight, another Alox configuration multi-tool. But the fact that they just added scissors, just that simple act of adding scissors, because Victorinox's scissors are kind of like the goat for compact scissors.
Yeah.
Just that pushed the Pioneer X for me to the stratosphere. Even if it's one layer heavier, one layer thicker, and a bit heavier, I think it just having the scissors there just makes it so much more worth it.
Yeah, super useful. Yeah. Really good tool selection on the Cadet and Pioneer. So cool. Let's move on. We got the Gerber Assert. This is kind of a young buck. This let me run the stats. So this is coming from Gerber, right? Gerber gear, not like the baby food brand, but $175, CPM S30V steel, 2.9-inch blade length, dual thumb stud deployment. And if you look at it, I gave ours away. I don't have it on hand right now because I gave it away. But it has like a thumb hole with a thumb stud in it. So that's interesting. And then this is also a crossbar lock, and it's 1.9 ounces. So quite a lightweight knife. Also made in the USA. So that might explain why it's $175. But what do you think?
I think you like this knife more than me, but maybe because I haven't actually held it. I think it looks sick. I have another knife that has that thumb hole with the thumb stud. I think it's an interesting combination of deployment. I like the fact that it's Gerber doing made in the USA stuff because they weren't always associated with like the highest quality of production, and the fact that they do a lot of really solid made in the USA knives kind of raises them up in my eyes.
Their American made stuff I think is way better.
Yeah,
it's like really good.
S30V is kind of what kills it for me, really.
I'm kind of putting I feel like it's not fair to put it in the same place as the Deka if the Deka is more affordable with arguably better steel. It is kind of a design differences too. Like this is like what 3 inches, I believe, 2.9-inch blade, and the Deka is 3.25-inch. So it has this like little big knife kind of feel to it because it's the Gerber Assert is a little bit shorter than like a full size bug out or Deka. but bigger than like a mini bug out, and it has like kind of a contour 3D kind of grip on the handles, and it's still very lightweight. So this is like the vibe of it is just a little bit chunkier, but still lightweight, still performant, but not like on paper specs as much as the Deka or whatever for the price. So
I know you really like it, and
middle.
I know there must be something to the fact that it looks slick. It's made in the USA. The design is really cool to me. I would agree. B tier, solid. If you're not going completely like on paper specs, I think it's got a lot going for it. It's just pricey and
it is a little pricey.
Yeah.
So,
but that's
speaking
what the price.
of pricey,
that's the price you pay for made in the USA. You know, we've got to respect that too.
Let's get way away from there and let's go to France. We've got the Opinel number 6, $16 for the carbon steel, 2.87-inch blade length, nail nick deployment with a Vibralock ring lock. No pocket clip, unfortunately. 1.2 ounces and made in France.
The knife we recommend the knife we recommend to everybody who wants to cut food with their knife. So S for steak knife. And let's also
I don't want the S tier to just be classics though. I don't know. I gave my Opinel away. I was just like, whatever about
it. We should also point out that the Opinel comes in a ton of sizes and a ton of variations.
True.
There's number 6, number 8, number 11. There's one that's more outdoorsy friendly or outdoorsy oriented. C tier, C for no clip.
C for can actually carry this in other parts of the world, maybe.
C for cut food.
Carbone. Yeah.
Carbone. Yeah. So it's got a lot of things not working for it, and yet it's still the first knife I'd recommend for anybody who wants to do food prep. Every single time,
you could do so much worse for $16.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
It's just that the size of the handle looks like a long cork, and the lock isn't great. The steel needs some maintenance. You have to keep it dry all the time, or it'll start to rust because it's carbon steel.
Right.
But $16. I mean, what are you complaining
and it's
about?
A classic. There's like history here with the Opinel.
There is.
Yeah. And that's
features.
So fun fact, this is our only French representative on the country of origin. So we can move on.
Sure.
This is next up. We've got the Exceed Design TiRant V3. So clearly this is in B for box cutter territory.
Yes, I agree.
But let's explain a little bit what this is. So it's $80. Okay. The steel is whatever blade you're putting in it. And it's got a rear flipper, which I think is cool for a box cutter. Titanium frame lock as well. Also cool for a box cutter. It's got a right tip up clip, which again, cool for a box cutter. And then 2.4 ounces made in China.
So, little story with this. I discovered this thing during the pandemic. Exceed came out with the design during the pandemic. And I thought it was just so fresh that they turned a box cutter into something that EDCers would instantly like. Titanium, flipper. And it's super slim and compact. And then
gonna hold it up to the camera. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I got one in hand, it was so fidgety. It was so fun to use. And you're like, you wouldn't be afraid to use it because it's a box cutter. Just, swap the blade out if you run into some gunk problems. Yeah. So B tier.
If you've not handled this, like something like this, it might seem like, why are these guys putting a box cutter on the pocket knife list? It's because the way it's designed feels like a titanium frame lock.
Exactly.
It like flips out. It's thin. It's titanium. I don't know. It's cool. It's like my favorite thing to break boxes down with.
Yeah.
If I'm doing that exclusively. So
I really like that. Yeah, I agree. B tier solid.
Top of B tier, not sure. And people are still gonna.
I think it's not ranked within the tier. I think they're not competing against each other. Yeah.
Sure. All right. Let me hop back in here. We got believe this is the Flytanium Arcade.
Another young guy.
So this is one of Mikey's picks. So this is $209. CPM S35VN steel, 3.2-inch blade length, thumb stud deployment with a shark lock, reversible tip-up clip, 3.2 ounces, and made in Taiwan. For shark? No. Let's hold our horses here.
So
is this?
why is this a pick? Why from Flytanium, who hasn't historically been known for making knives?
Folders.
They made their name for themselves making scales for the bug outs originally, and then they
Mm,
just started making scales for everything. So if you're thinking of aftermarket parts from really popular knife brands and popular models, Flytanium has probably got the thing for you. And then they started making their own butterfly knives, and now they're venturing into folding knives, which is the arcade is one of their first ones. So I like the fact that they market it as a like a moddable knife. If that's a thing for you, I think it would score really high for you. And it comes
mm,
with really premium materials to begin with, so you're not really you don't have to mod it to get a solid knife. But the price might turn some people off, and the design is kind of like, not really outstanding, but it is shark lock. It's one of the more um strong and popular and ambidextrous locks out there. So what are
yeah.
your thoughts on it?
I don't know. Like I mod stuff, but not knives. So I can see the appeal of this.
Mhm.
So as far as recommending it to somebody who's like, "What's a good knife?" This is such a, I think, a niche audience.
Mm,
Um, but
I
like,
agree.
if you were to get one, it would still like be good. It's just, are you getting the most value out of like a moddable platform from this kind of brand?
Yeah.
I don't think so. So I think this is like a knife nerd's knife.
So how about C for customizable?
Sure, let's put in C tier. Yeah. Yeah, you got your squid next to your shark lock. There's some synergy there, I'm sure.
mm,
Next is the Knafs Lander. So
hmm
what is up with this knife? It's $80, Sandvik 14C28 and steel, 2 3/4 inch blade length with a thumb stud deployment, liner lock, reversible tip-up clip, 2.4 ounces, and made in China.
So I think you were the one who put this onto me, but Knafs is a company. Oh my gosh, I am blanking on his name, but he is a former Blade HQ alum who started Knafs as a company, and he designed I think it's something Peterson, Bill Peterson. Oh
Ben,
my,
right?
Ben Peterson. There
Isn't
you
it
go.
Ben?
That's perfect. Yeah, that's right. Ben
Yeah.
Peterson designed the very, very, very popular BANTER knife that CIVIVI and we make.
Mm,
And I believe this is the second design, the Lander. So very standard, I would call it standard design, very harmless design, ticks all of the boxes, nice drop point shape, very solid set of specs for the price. What are your thoughts?
yeah. I think this is like a very approachable kind of knife and
Oh, that's a good
accessible kind of
yeah.
knife. The ergonomics look really organic and so kind of decent specs,
And I like the
but
fact that
the price
it's
is
a
fair.
knife. It's a knife made by a knife nerd. Also, there's
Yeah,
some like
yeah.
community aspect to that want to support somebody who is given to the community and is respected in the community. I respect that. I would put it in a B
All right.
tier. I think it would stack up against like an assert as far as like value and story and usability
Sure.
at the end of the day. I think B tiers would be solid for
Okay,
it.
so B for Ben, our buddy.
Mm, nice one,
All
Ben.
right. Oh boy.
Oh
Who put this
boy.
on here? Who put this on here? This is the James Brand Barnes. All right. Is everyone seated? Price $679. Okay. That's for one of
600,
them.
sorry, 600 what? Sorry? 600.
679. That's for one of them. Steel Bowler M390, 3.5 inch
Mm,
blade length, thumb stud deployment, integral frame lock, integral titanium frame
mm.
lock, right tip up pocket clip, 4.6 ounces, kind of a big boy, also made in the USA.
Do you want to talk about the price? Let's get the price out of the way. Do you think it's fairly priced for what you get?
This is in the damn that's expensive tier to me.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Not that it's bad, it's just like if you got the money and like you just want to buy something and like you like this design, so D for design, that's kind of what James Brand's bread and butter is. Like they are expensive, but I feel like the few people that can afford them and actually get them, they love it.
Mm.
So
I think
yeah,
that's a good description of our D tier. It's hard to recommend. Just it's hard to get past that gate of price. But if you had the money to burn, if you had $700 burning a hole in your pocket, I think the Barnes is kind of sick. Integral frame locks is a niche that is not often explored in knife making just because of how expensive and how difficult it is to make. Plus, it looks slick. Plus, it's made in the USA.
Yeah.
It's it's M390 is still top tier steel, and
Yeah, I believe this is the only integral frame lock on here. Like we have a Chris Reeve Sebenza right next to it, but that's like not like a solid piece of titanium, right? It's like screwed together. So yeah, this is just like I think an interesting knife to have in the conversation anyway. That integral frame lock. It's a very polarizing brand. Not gonna lie,
it is.
but that is one of the knives they make. That is one of the knives on this list.
Would you pick one up if you had $700, or if you could? I don't know. If you got one for free, would you?
If I got one for free, no, like if I don't know if I would want to spend $700 on a knife in general because I'm not really that much of a knife guy. So that's what I will say about that. I might have more fun just like buying a bunch of budget knives and then making fun videos for the community and like putting them onto stuff.
Oh, look
personally.
at you.
Speaking
thinking of the community.
Yeah, speaking of making funny videos for budget knives for the community, we got the Vosteed Raccoon G10 crossbar. This originally was a Mikey pick, but I have come around to it. So it's $59, Sandvik 14C28 and steel, 3¼ inch blade length, dual thumb stud deployment with a crossbar lock, reversible tip-up clip, 3 ounces, made in China.
You put this firmly in the group of knives that you kind of started calling knives that started to look alike with a crossbar lock.
This is the all look same.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know, man. The moment I got it out of the box, the way it fit in my hand, the flicking action, it just
flick that
I don't know what it was. It just got me. It just got me the moment I picked it out of the box. It might not be the same for everyone, but for $59 to start, and it comes in a ton of colors and variations. It comes in micarta. It comes in aluminum. There's some collaboration stuff that's not that expensive either.
Yeah.
There you go, white G10. Who makes white G10? And yeah, just for me, it's even as just like a beater. It is my beater knife, and it's also currently my favorite knife.
Yeah.
It just ticks all the boxes for me, and plus it's ambidextrous for the value and the enjoyability.
This is an easy recommendation. I feel like this is kind of like no hate to Benchmade or whatever, but if people see that for so long the Benchmade bug out was popular, then you just get one of these, save the money, right?
Yeah.
It is actually kind of like boring in a way. There's nothing that really stands out about it, so that might be kind of a knock against it. But as a knife, it just works really well, and it's hard to fault that, I think.
Yeah.
So I think top of A tier is fine. Wait, that's kind of weird. Let's not rank these because then you have it sitting next to the Hogue Deka.
Not ranked within the
close
tier.
To triple
not
the price,
the tier.
or maybe double the price. Yeah. So who else we got going on here? Next, another Ben Peterson. This is the We Knife BANTER. So you can think of this as like the fancier, better made. No, it's not. It's not exactly like the Knafs Lander, but similar design language and DNA.
Okay,
right?
Look, BANTER first came out, I could not get it. I really didn't get why people like the design. It really didn't do it for me. And then I saw like the baby BANTER and the big BANTER, and then I started to get the design. It's another one of those friendly designs.
Yes.
And it's completely harmless. You're holding up the Desert Warrior edition, which makes it even more fun and playful. It's another
if you know as well. But
yeah, and it's another if you know enthusiast knife community type of knives. It's got that thing going for it. I've come around. I've come around. I definitely, especially I would pick the big BANTER or the baby BANTER over the regular one. But yeah, I've come to really like it. I think it's a solid another B for Ben classic.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The ergos are quite nice. It's just like nice in the hand, nice in the pocket.
Is it slim? Do you find it slim carrying?
It's
not really.
It's all right. Not too bad.
Okay.
I don't love it just because liner lock, not my favorite. But yeah, let's try to get through the last few of these. So where are we putting this? B tier?
B for Ben, yeah.
Okay. I think it's I like it more than the Lander though. All right, got the Buck 110.
Ooh.
Or no, sorry, I think this is the Buck 112 we had on the list. Yeah, Buck 112
Functionally,
Ranger.
yeah.
$65, 420 HC steel, 3-inch blade, nail nick with a back lock. No pocket clip, 5.6 ounces. It's got some brass in there. Made in USA though.
Classic.
Classic.
What can you
Super
say?
classic.
It is
I don't know.
the cowboy knife. I mean, Buck has been around for what, over 100 years, making the same knives, and they've stood the test of time. 420 HC. From what I understand, they're also pretty good with the heat treat. So it's really, the blades are really robust and will stand up against abuse. And it's your grandfather's traditional cowboy knife. I can't hate it. I mean, I respect it just for all of those, just for the fact that it's a classic and it's still around. It's still kicking, old OG energy for the traditional. I think C is very solid for it.
Okay. Next, we got the CJRB Pyrite Alt. So this is the stainless version, $50, and I think even on sale still right now. So less than $50. AR RPM 9. That's Artisan's proprietary powder steel, powder budget steel. 3.1-inch blade, thumb hole. It's like an elongated thumb hole for reverse flicks. Button lock, right tip up pocket clip. 3.7 ounces in the steel version, so a little bit hefty. Made in China.
You really like the Pyrite?
Oh man, I like this so much.
Only fair, I think, that you put it in A tier as our prime favorite, easy to recommend, affordable value knives. I think it's fair to put it in A tier.
For action. The action on this, it's like frame 1 deployment. It's like it's
just
so
framing that lock.
It is so snappy. And the blade shape is nice. And I
think the design is slick. It's a very Bernard design. Totally agree.
And in the hand, it's just so good.
Reverse Tanto is also pretty sick.
And this is one that like I bought a version of it. I used to have not every version, but like every size and configuration of it until I lost the titanium one. And I actually feel badly about it. Like that's how much I liked it. Like I might rebuy it. So that was the Pyrite.
Alrighty.
Okay, next we got, I believe, another Demko. This is the AD20.5. This is $160, D2 steel, 3.25-inch blade length, thumb stud or thumb hole deploy with the shark lock again, right tip up carry, pocket clip, 3.6 ounces, and made in Taiwan. This is one of your picks.
I really like it. And of course, it's the progenitor of the shark lock. And I think it's really solid. It's on the expensive side, but there's nothing quite like it. The design it's very much its own. The patterning on the handle is very much its own. It lends to the appearance of it of the aggression and the shark-like design to pair with everything else. I would put it in B, if not a low B, just because.
All right, let's put the lowest of B. I was feeling like it's next to the Flytanium here.
You think so?
In like who it would serve. No, you're right. It's better than that. Let's give it low B. I think that's fair. Okay, so next we got the Kizer Azo Drop Bear. This is $159 in LC200N steel, 2.99-inch blade length, dual thumb stud deployment, crossbar lock again, reversible tip up clip, 4.2 ounces in China, or made in China. So this is I don't know. This guy impressed me, but it is a little bit of a chonker. But I don't think C tier level chonker. I think it's better than that.
B for bear?
I think it's B for bear.
There are other variations of it that are more affordable, but this version is LC200N, like I said for the drift earlier, rust proof, and I think it's great that it's ambidextrous and all of that, and in the bucket of the look-alike knives, but still has kind of a charm of its own with that handle. Yeah,
so I prefer solid. Like we talked about how I didn't like the vibe of the Deka in terms of design. I prefer this one. It's just like more comfortable, a little bit rounder and fuller in the hand. It's got like full length spine jimping and a different blade shape. It's a little bit stubbier and stouter. I like that design language overall. It feels well built and
reminds me of the Squid actually.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a longer Squid.
Big knife. kind of vibe, and the scale is like beautiful. So
Mm.
B for beautiful.
Agree.
That's
Let's do it.
where that one goes. So let's finish this up. We're almost there. Next is the Benchmade 945 Mini Osborne, $230, CPM S30V, 2.92-inch blade, dual thumb stud with the axis locks. It's like a crossbar lock, reversible tip-up clip, 2 ounces, made in the USA.
Oh, you would put
I was going
it
to throw
in
that
S tier?
straight to S tier, maybe top of A or bottom of S. This is a classic, and Benchmade gets a lot of hate, but like because everyone's thinking of the bug out now. This is like before the bug out. Well, not before. The Osborne is like before the bug out, but this is the mini version that I think the proportions just make a little bit more sense for EDC. It's a little bit more compact, and it just looks cool.
It does.
It's like
I can't
kind
deny.
of iconic.
Yeah, I agree. Aluminum handles, still solid, made in the USA. That's it.
All right, S tier. Still on aluminum handles. Next, we got the Kershaw Iridium. This is $65. D2 steel, 3.5-inch blade, dual thumb stud deployment, crossbar lock, reversible tip-up clip, 3.3 ounces, and made in China. This, I think, is a banger.
I really like the design of this. I'm not gonna lie. It's such a it seems so sleek and
it is
nice to me.
But
I really like it.
It's like sleek and nice, but it also feels robust because of the aluminum handle. And I think that is what's missing on like the bug out, for example. Like the stock bug out is double the price, and people feel, oh, like the handles are flimsy. Like you will not feel that with this. And the design.
What was the price on it again?
I think like $80.
Okay, fair.
I paid $80. I think it went on sale for even lower than that. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's $65 last I checked. So $65. I paid $80 because I'm a doofus. But yeah, $65. Really good. If you like that kind of crossbar, but like a little bit longer and still sleek, Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Straight to top of S tier. Straight to top of S tier. No explanation needed. So that's the list.
I mean, do we have to explain the Paramilitary 2 classic, big knife, forever knife, buy it for life? I mean, tons of variation, can't go wrong. It's going to be around forever. So yeah. Top of the list, I think.
I mean, oh wait, I should give the specs too, because some people, have not been put on to the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. $185, I think. CPM S45VN. Mine is cheaper than that and was S90V. So you can get good deals in like different configurations. 3.42-inch blade length. So it's a little bit of a big boy, but more to love there. Spidey hole, thumb hole deployment, compression lock, 4-way pocket clip, 3.9 ounces, and made in the USA.
Let's be real. The only thing knocking this out of that position is a Para 3. Let's be real.
But the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 is more iconic, so therefore it's got the S.
S tier. Top of the list.
You did a good job. Yeah, so that's the list. Take a look.
D tier, dang. Sebenza D tier. Let's go.
Damn, that's for damn. That's nice. Damn, that's gonna take a long time. Damn, I should have bought this back in 2015.
Yeah, true, you should have. We all should have.
Yeah.
So that's a list. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you hate us? Do you agree?
I'm gonna post the PNG. And yeah, remember, like we say D tier, we say S tier. Like all of these are good. You cannot go wrong. We're gonna make like a whole comprehensive guide for this pretty soon. We can link all of these in the description if you're watching on YouTube. So that's the list, and we're gonna share this as well. So I'm gonna stop sharing that.
Cool. So, I was pretty happy with that.
All right, so that was the list. Thanks for sticking through that. Now we've got the Q&A. So let's start with a few of these. Cyber Nomad asks, you're in an apocalypse. How would your current EDC fare in helping you survive? Would you change anything? Nah, bro, I'm dead. Like, I don't EDC for the apocalypse. Sorry. Like, would I change anything? No, I accept my fate and appreciate the time I had on this earth and talking with Mikey.
I'd like to think I had the skills of Frank, my favorite character from The Last of Us, but nah, I'm dead.
Now we're dead.
I'm gonna walk out the door, get bitten, no cardio, I'm done.
Rip bozo. All right, next question. So person with a questionable TikTok username that I'm not gonna pronounce on this Show, let's just call them QW. They ask, bro, please do a slim knives. I hate having bulky knives. Please, love you. Well, love you too, TikTok person. For me, I think it depends on what you mean by slim. You can have some that are like slim in terms of the actual depth, and then some that are just like skinny in terms of the handle, like width. So for thin, like you can check the TikTok. I have a video on the Benchmade Narrows. That's like the thinnest knife that I've ever held. Almost uncomfortable how thin it is. Like it seems like an optical illusion. And then the actual knife that's thin that I would recommend here is the SOG Ultra XR. It's like a pocket clip made of carbon fiber, but I think it's S35VN. S35VN steel, and it is like barely there, right? So very classy if you want thin. And speaking of like thin and classy, but the other way, like thin, like this, like skinny, is CRKT CEO. That one's popular.
I just have a couple of picks here. I want to say Dijo, so just to bring it back to France a little bit.
Light. Yeah.
Super ultra light, barely there handle, and just the blade. Tactile has a thin slip joint. The Becks are a little bit pricier, but I would recommend that also. And I don't know, the slip joints, I would say, from like Case tend to be on the slimmer side. So classic. Traditional knives.
Yeah. So King Detritus, I believe they asked the question before. They ask, one knife, one flashlight, one pen, one wallet, forever, go. Spyderco Chaparral, Step Titanium, 4.7's Cork 123, Lamy 2000 Broad Nib in Macrolon, and Gunmetal Titanium Ridge wallet.
Nice. I am going to bring it back to my original first knife, Native 5, but in Magnacut, just to keep it classy and to keep it lasting forever. ATS Rotary, because that is going to actually last forever. Rot Ring 600 for my pen, and I'm going to go with Ridge 12, also just because it's in titanium. I have the black titanium one. That's my pick.
Me with Knives asks, would you prefer a steel that doesn't hold an edge long, yet is easy to resharpen, or an edge retention beast that's tougher to resharpen?
I would go latter. Tougher to resharpen, make it, just have it last longer, because I'm kind of lazy. I would just send it off to get reserviced anyway. So the longer it takes for it to dull would be my choice, and generally tougher. Yeah.
Honestly, same. Part of it is because I'm also lazy and kind of a doofus and just clumsy. So I probably don't have the best sharpening technique. And even if I did, I don't know if I see like the ritualistic appeal of like sitting down and sharpening a blade. And, like I have other ways of like kind of getting that. Also, I like, if you could just see the desk right now, I have too many knives, right? Like I'm not like, I don't think these are going to go dull. Like, just as I'm rotating them so often. So
we are in a privileged position to be able to rotate them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would still go for tougher and last longer holding an edge. Yeah.
Good questions. Thanks, guys. I hope that was helpful. If you have questions, you can always send us an email at podcast@everydaycarry.com, or leave comments wherever you want, or send us DMs wherever you see us on social. But that just about wraps it up for today's episode. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. I hope you had fun. And if you did, please subscribe. If you're listening through a podcast service and you really enjoy what we do here, like putting the Sebenza in D tier, please consider leaving a review and a positive rating, as it would really help the podcast. You can follow us on social media for more content daily on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and all of that will be linked in the show notes. And if you want to be part of our EDC community, feel free to hop in our Facebook group or Discord server for more real-time discussion with other EDCers, so you can argue with us in real time about our tier list. Lastly, if you have any feedback for us or questions you want answered, again, you can email at podcast@everydaycarry.com. But thank you so much for listening to Carry the Way. I'm Bernard.
I'm Mikey. See you next week.
And until the next one, peace.